Hello. Let me turn off this other music here. The I'm gonna Hey Mick, how are you? So happy you can make it. We might have a few other people joining. We'll see. It was very last minute, so I want to first just announce that this is the first live recording for the Dream podcast. So we'll see how this goes. I'm really excited and a bit nervous. I'm not gonna hide it. I usually do my podcasts with very little editing, but still, sometimes it's like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that, and then I have to cut it out. But so this one is gonna be the first time that I'm recording live. Hi Laura, how are you? Thanks for joining. All right, so welcome. My name's Ixel. It's like Michelle without an M. And we're going to be talking about dreams, so because this is a dream podcast. And also, it's not just about dreams. I also like to bring in other topics once in a while that are very linked to the subject. Anything that's related to quantum morphogenetics or spirituality. It's it can be a lot of things. Today the main focus is going to be why we dream. Why do you guys think we dream? That's a good question, right? I'd always wondered about that one since I was little. Dreams has been, since I can remember, one of my favorite things to talk about and to research on. And yeah, have had a lot of crazy experiences regarding dreams, especially in the last couple years. I don't know about you guys, but dreams started getting super, super crazy, and even in relation to other people in my reality, and it just seems to me like the realities are just merging big time. At least that's the way I've experienced it, and so we're gonna see here in a bit why that could be, right? That it seems like we are so interconnected in a way, not only in Dreamscape, also in this reality, right? So yeah, first I want to start by talking a little bit about the special alignments that we've got going on in the sky, and I want to also specify that I don't follow astrology. Okay, I follow sky astrology, which is a method that's based on astronomy and the calculations. From what I've seen, I've been following sky astrology since over a year ago, and that we can see in the sky that things that are happening are not at all aligned with what astrology is telling us. So, and this is important because these alignments do influence the way we dream. Okay, so, and then maybe you guys know that today we've got a partial eclipse going on later tonight. And so, and people are saying, oh, it's in Taurus, it's in the constellation of Taurus, and this is the way it's going to affect everyone. And it's like, no, not at all. It's if you look up at the sky with an astronomy app, or if you even type online where the astrals are, where the heavenly bodies are, the moon and the sun are both aligned with. Actually, it's between Aries and this other constellation, Cetus, that nobody really talks about. But we've got it's very clear that it's at least in Aries you can see it. And then it's also in the stars of Cetus. So this constellation is known as the constellation of the whale, and it combines energies of fire and water. So it's really interesting constellation to take into account in terms of all the energies that we can access and what it's called the cosmic weather. And then also what's happening at the same time is that we've got Jupiter and Neptune aligning with Pisces. And so this actually calls for a lot of crazy dreams. Like, people have been telling me they've got things going on that's like more than usual. At least for people in my immediate circle, it seems to be that when these alignments happen, people tend to connect more to the other realms. We can call the dreamscape or other dimensions or parallel realities. So yeah, just wanted to announce that real quick. As to what's going on today, I always like to, when I start, talk about what's going on around here. And then, for those of you that don't know me, I live in France near Paris. So today is April 30th. I forgot to say the date. when I started. April 30th, for those of you listening, for the recording. Today's Saturday, yes, and it is 6 p.m. over here. So, yeah. All right, and then we're gonna start talking about the different perspectives of dreams, okay? So first I want to start with the ancient perspective, which is, ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, Rome, and the way they perceived dreams. For example, there's a story in the Mayan civilization when they were conquered. People were having a bunch of dreams like this, like, oh, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, and it actually did. So dreams were taken very seriously, and sometimes even more seriously than the waking reality. So yeah, and so it's they saw this reality or dreams as an extension of this reality, right? And then I'm not gonna go over pre-ancient history, but there is a pre-ancient history. There's scientists in mainstream science are going to tell you that the solar system was created about 4.5 billion years ago, but there are records that say that it's actually been existing since over like 950 billion years ago. Can you imagine that? So there have been civilizations before the times that are recorded in books, and this is a whole other topic about history and who recorded these the story behind humanity and how we've supposedly evolved. I've seen that there's a lot of things that have been hidden from the public, but like I said, that's a whole other topic. But what I do want to mention is that pre-ancient cultures used to have a completely different experience of dreamscape, because they were able to consciously access those other realities without needing to dissociate from their body. They were able to access that information, those visualizations, through their consciousness expansion. So yeah, and that is in regards to ancient and pre-ancient history about dreams. And yeah, so then we've got, of course, neuroscience, the scientific perspective of why we dream, which, as story, it started, the people started changing, they started seeing things more, they wanted to explain things more, I guess, in a more logical or analytical way. So, of course, we started looking at the brain and what happens, what chemicals are released, and all this kind of stuff. So, for example, neuroscience is going to tell you that our dreams, why we dream is because we use that to store memories or to kind of sort through complicated feelings. And it's, they go and see, if you look in the brain, they go and look at what's called the limbic system. You got the hippocampus in there, and this is the one that has been attributed the role of memory, imagination, and all these chemicals that are released when we sleep that create, or that put us into this zone of theta, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, brain waves, which are the brain waves that are responsible for dreams, creativity, insight. It's a very relaxed state of consciousness. So that's what we're gonna be looking at with science, right? So yeah, and then what I want to talk about, what the perspective, at least my I guess favorite perspective would be the quantum perspective. And so first, I do want to mention that there is a structure in the brain that is not mentioned so much in science, because it's not very widely studied. But you probably have heard about the pineal gland, which is a tiny tiny gland, yeah, of course, that is located in the center of the brain. And that it's known for releasing certain hormones, especially melatonin. So it's this is the one that plays a role in regulating sleep patterns. The rhythms of the circadian rhythms. of the brain. So that's, because we go through different stages in our sleep, and when we're in REM sleep, that's rapid eye movement sleep, is when people have been recorded to have dreams, because they do these studies where they use it's called EEG technology, where you put electrodes on your brain, and then they see what areas of the brain are activated and what happens when people are dreaming. But then the pineal gland, it's so tiny and it's so difficult to access and to actually understand, because there are some studies though that have shown that it reduces small amounts of what's called DMT. So, and apparently this could be responsible for what produces the visualizations that we have during dreams, or even sometimes in very deep states of meditation, right? And I don't know how many of you practice meditation. Does anybody practice meditation here? Let me know by your reaction if you do. If not, that's okay. Laura does. Awesome. Yeah, so if you've been in in very deep states of meditation before, awesome. Yeah, so if you've experienced this, you know what I'm talking about. It's like you get to this state where you're it's sort of like you're dreaming. You get these visualizations and they seem very real, and that is, for me, the pineal gland is responsible for that. And then of course there's other things. I've been looking into, for example, DNA activations and things like this. And this is, we're gonna talk about this here in a few minutes, like about how, for me, it's very important to practice things such as meditation or creative visualizations or any type of thing that really connects you to your own being, in order to develop your higher dimensional senses and to activate yourself, to activate your DNA. What's called, in science they even call it junk DNA. Like, apparently the best way to call it would be intron DNA, which is the potential DNA. And from my experience, the more I've done meditation and things like this, and other activities like what I said before, I've been able to access more realities in dream state. So this is what I like to do. I like speaking more from experience, not so much of what I've read here and there. Of course, I run into information, but what has been really interesting lately is that I run into information most of the time after something happens in my reality, and then it's confirmed in things that I read, just randomly. I'm like, oh, this book sounds interesting, I want to read it, it's about dream state or whatnot. And then I'm like, oh wow, I knew this was what was happening. I'll give a little bit more examples here in a bit, but I was like, oh yeah, totally, that was exactly what I was experiencing. And for me, that's living the information, right? It's not just I'm gonna go out there and chase after things or information. It's more like you kind of let it come to you, but you're living you're living your experience of connecting really with yourself and everything that's happening in dream state. Like I said, it's very intertwined. So if you're paying attention to your dreams, it will give you a lot of information as to how you can better navigate your reality, and then you'll get things that are going to confirm your inner knowing. Okay, so yes, and we got Claudette in the house. Hello, Claudette. Claudette's the founder of Sky Astrology, actually. Welcome. But yes, very important to know how to interpret your dreams. And it's not easy sometimes, right? Because it can be, the information is very encrypted. Oh, thank you, Claudette. Aloha, she says. Chapeau, yes. And I love how she uses French all the time. Let's see. So, what was I saying? Yes. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the quantum perspective of dreams. So, you guys that just arrived for the best part. In my opinion, right? Because, well, to me, the way I see it is, I've talked a little bit about the ancient perspective, the scientific perspective, and this, to me, especially quantum morphogenetics, is kind of really merging both. Finding this balance of having this spiritual explanation of things, but very science-based. And I was saying that this reality is really like a dreamscape. Like when I was saying that realities are merging, you can definitely see this reality as a mass dream. You can start treating it that way, and the more you do that, you will see that things are actually happening for you. They're not happening to you, they're happening for you, and you're the creator of this reality, right? So, and then through your dreams you get a lot of messages. It's just that we have to learn to, like I said, interpret that, and it's sort of an art form, really. It's like you can't just do it like all of a sudden. You have to work on developing your intuition, but this is something that all of us can do. It's not just a few people. Some people kind of naturally do it, kind of born with the capability of doing it, but that doesn't mean that not everybody can do it. And so, like I was saying, mainstream science does a really good job at explaining how our bodies serve as a projector of our consciousness, okay? But we can see our bodies more as like a chemical lens, okay, of our consciousness. That is, we project our consciousness through. It's like a big filter, right? And all these structures that we briefly talked about in the limbic system and everything, they are serving as filters, right? But just as dreams seem to take place within you, this reality is also created through energy particles that are turned into thought forms, and then they manifest into this illusion that we see as a solid reality, which is actually not. Everything is vibration. Everything comes down to sound, really. And sound turns into light, and then we see things as being solid. So, and this is a big topic that we can go deeper into next time, but I just want to kind of introduce the concepts of the fact that this is, there's many people looking into this in the quantum field of how this reality is literally a projection of what is stored in your DNA. So yeah, and what else can I say about this topic before I jump into the dream interpretation part? Well, from my experience and what I've researched, we can experience dreams that are kind of more like very mundane, very regular, but that serve kind of like as emotion regulation, or sometimes to just process things. But they always carry a message. It's always a very pertinent message, especially if it's very loud in your head. If you remember it when you woke up, it's very important to write them down. But also, and this is something that I recently thought about that I hadn't taken into account, but it is important to take a little bit of time to, before you open your eyes and be like, oh, I've got to write it down now before I forget about it. I have noticed that it's more powerful if you actually close your eyes for a bit and integrate, really take it in and see what symbols pop up again, and take the time to get the messages to come through, because sometimes there are messages that will come through while you're still, awaking. And yeah, because some people are just like, wow, yeah, and that's true. So I would do that sometimes, like I have to write it down now. But lately I've been kind of just sitting there for a bit and thinking about it. Sometimes you can even do a meditation about it later in the day, and it will come back to you as well. But just upon awakening, try that, and then write it down. And then you'll have things that you're going to integrate in the meantime, and that you're going to be able to translate. So, and then, you can always revisit it later on as well. So those dreams that help us kind of go through emotions and things like that. And then there are other types of dreams that seem more like interdimensional travels, or sometimes like interdimensional trainings that take us to these parallel realities that go beyond the astral realm. Because from what it seems like the astral realm is kind of like the first stop. It belongs to, people normally would say it's dimension 4. So dimension 4 would be the astral realm. We're stationed, our consciousness is stationed at dimension 4, and we perceive as solid in reality what's in dimension 3. This is, according to the theories that I've been looking into in quantum morphogenetics. And then we've also got access to the lower dimensions. Instinctual mind is D2, or emotional body. Okay, and then dimensional one is the subconscious. So yeah, that's like, the deepest level you can access when you're in dream state. So you can go down or up, okay? And depending on what you're working on, what needs to be sent as a message, what's called your superconscious mind, which would be dimensions 4 through 6, according to quantum morphogenetics, this collective, these parts of these aspects of you will be sending messages through your instinctual mind to be stored in the subconscious mind. So you've got this dynamic going on of like, you go through one to reach the other one, because you've got to store that information in your cells. And, for example, animals, they will react instinctively. They know what to do. Nobody tells them what to do. They've got the information coming up from their superconscious mind, and, through the instincts, they know what to do. But then as human beings, we've also got the logical mind, the analytical mind, which corresponds to dimension 3. So that's what we use, to create this reality that we're looking at, that this apparently solid reality that we're looking at, right? So yeah, that's, in terms of the components of the mind and how it works and stuff. Another thing that's important to consider is that dreams may seem, pretty fragmented for the most part. So a lot of people have a hard time remembering their dreams. And, this is a whole other topic as well about what to do, not to do, etc. And, and I also provide, services that, help you if you're interested, to get specific techniques that you can do to remember your dreams better, or to actually, interpret them, more easily. But that happens a lot, right? That people don't remember their dreams because either it's they find it scary, even subconsciously. Sometimes we find it scary to remember certain dreams. Bad habits, of course, it could be that. But there are several things, several causes as to why we don't remember dreams. But we all dream. It's something that happens all the time. It's just that people don't usually remember them. And they're a very valuable source of information. Like I was saying, all this information that is stored in your cells, or in the, the instinctual mind, in the subconscious mind, sorry. So all the information that's stored in your subconscious mind, you can access that. And it's very, very valuable in order to heal certain traumas or certain, things that are actually maybe blocking you from reaching your highest potential. Because your superconscious mind is constantly sending you messages that will actually aid you towards, getting on that path of reaching your highest potential. So, that's why it's important to pay attention to these messages. So, yeah. Oh, wow, yeah, it's been, how long has it been? 25 minutes. Wow, to me, it's been like forever. Yeah, like I said, hi, welcome to Bad. Like I was saying, this is the first time I do this on this app, so, it's a big challenge, but I'm really liking it. I hope you guys are liking the show. Let me know. How are you guys feeling? Awesome. Okay. So I've got some really interesting facts, that I want to share of how dreams have changed the world. And this is, for me, this is proof, and I'm not just going to share what happens with me, right? Because there's also other things that have been recorded in history as to how dreams have completely changed someone's life, and even the course of history, in science. There's a ton of mathematicians and scientists that have discovered things through their dreams. I'm gonna name the ones that you guys all know. Einstein, for example, or Einstein. You know how I think pronouncing it right. The speed of light. Do you guys know how he discovered this? Well, he was dreaming that he was going down a sled in a steep mountainside, and all of a sudden he was going so fast that the stars around him started changing shape, and he woke up, and he had this idea And so he started formulating what the formula for this could be, and finally he reached the formula for the speed of light, right? Or the theory for the speed of light. So there you go. And there's even a book called Einstein's Dreams by Alan Littman, and it's a modern classic now. So if you guys are interested, you can go check it out. And how there's a lot of other things that came to him through dreams, right? Like I said, the superconscious mind is sending messages, and he couldn't have gotten just from someone else. This was something completely new. Another person that you guys all probably know also is Paul McCartney and his song Yesterday. Are you guys familiar with that song? I mean, who's not, right? Yeah, and so that song came to him in a dream, and he woke up and he's like, I'm pretty sure I've heard this before. It's like, it's weird. It's like, it sounds so familiar. Of course he had, it's his super conscious mind, which, can also be seen as a future self, a future aspect of yourself communicating to you. In quantum morphogenetics, everything is happening at once. You've got access to the future and the past. It's like a big, let's say, you can see it as some people see it as a circle, and you've got access to, everything. Or I like that theory. You can also see it as more like a sandwich, like, you've got the future at a higher oscillation or frequency, and then the past at a lower frequency or oscillation rate. So Paul McCartney, to me, was accessing, those higher aspects that were telling him, hey, write this song, and it became a big hit, right? So, and he, it's funny, it's like, when I read this, I thought it was funny. He said, for about a month, I went round and round to ask people in the music business whether they've heard the song before. Eventually, it became like handing something into the police, he said. And he's like, I thought if no one claimed it after a few weeks, then I could have it. It's like, it would be mine. It'd be mine, like, of course it was his. And he had so much self-doubt because it seemed so familiar. And then you've got Niels Bohr, which he dreamt about the structure of the atom. One night he went to sleep and began dreaming about the nucleus, like with little electrons spinning around it, like the planets around their sun. So he understood, like the fact that as above, so below, and everything is just so interrelated in that sense. And you've got to understand how all the things work in a microscopic level to understand the macro, and vice versa. So that was a very interesting dream, like how he saw that, and he's like, oh, okay, and there we go, the structure of the atom was discovered. And of course, there's, like I said, there's a big list of dreams like this. You guys can check it out, and I just wanted to name a few because to me, this is just more proof, because I can talk about my experiences too, which I've done a lot before in previous podcast episodes, and I will certainly be sharing more because I'm sure there's more to come. But yeah, these, for me it's very clear that dreams are so important, and that I think that it's going to be gaining more and more importance in the next couple of years, because a lot of people are understanding how important it is to look inward in order to evolve versus going out and looking for things, and that you're creating usually from a place of lack or fear because you're not connected with who you are within. So there you go. Dreams are just one way, but it's for me, it's just so much fun to look at dreams. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah. So let's see, does anybody want to come up on stage and share a dream or just anything related to dreams? Let's see, how can how can you guys ask? I don't know if you guys can ask on here. Or if not, I can maybe choose someone. Let's see. Who wants to come up? All right. Let's see. Nobody wants to come up? Okay. No worries. Well, if nobody wants to come up, that's okay. Maybe next time. It's been a pleasure recording this episode with you guys. If you have any questions, also please feel free here in the chat in the reaction section. You can pick an emoji and write something if you guys want to share something. And like I said, I do. So let me just finish by speaking on dream interpretation because this is also part of the topic. Yes, Claude, I know you like that. So, dream interpretation, like I said, is pretty much an art form. Which I've discovered this because I've started doing this with people. It's been very recent, but the more I do it, the more I see how intricate and how it's not just like, oh bam, this is what it is, there you go. No, it's you got to really have this conversation. It's better to do it with someone else, so to get an external perspective. And even just talking with the other person sometimes helps you gain more insights and also discover more keywords, because dreams are composed of keywords always, and there's always a main theme as well. So think about dreams as a movie that you're creating, right? And you or maybe someone else is the protagonist, and there's usually an antagonist or somebody, some issue with somebody or something. um, and or maybe not, it depends, but usually it will be representing something that you have to see, that you really have to look at, that you have to deal with or heal within yourself, right? Usually when dreams are like, oh wow, it was magnificent, usually it's not what it seems, right? It's not really saying, oh, pat on the back for me for doing this in the dream. Most of the time it has another hidden message for you to look at. Maybe there's if for example the dream is like, oh, you're a queen or a king and everything is, everybody's bringing you things and stuff. Sometimes it could be that there's an aspect of you in your conscious waking reality that maybe is what's it called, taking things like not as seriously as you should, or like seeing yourself from a very high perspective, whereas maybe it's telling you, oh, maybe you should humble down a little bit, right? That happens too. um, or let's say that you're in a dream where just everybody's treating you like crap, and it's like, oh man, and then you wake up feeling, oh, like, it's like nobody loves you, etc., etc. Well, that could also be reflecting, not necessarily because nobody loves you. It's more like, what aspect of yourself do you not love? What were the things that were happening in that dream that maybe you need to look at and love yourself a little more? I can just give it, an example of like recently the dream I had, I felt like was bringing up things that I thought I was kind of over. Sometimes that happens too. It's like, but then you wake up thinking about it. It's like, oh man. Um, or it could also be reflecting addictions, things that you think you've got under control, but that it could potentially turn into addictions, or that are already addictions in your life. You're just not aware of it. And these could be addictions to substances, but also to emotions, because we do have addictions to emotions. So that, they're called emotional habits. That happens too. Big example is a lot of us, let's say we care a lot about what people think, and we are kind of addicted to having that approval, or that like pat on the back kind of thing. And so you might have a dream where you're doing that, like, like I was saying, like everybody's like saying, oh well, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. Oh, pay attention. That's probably reflecting an addiction that you have to that feeling, right? And so, yeah, and then the moment that stops happening, then you're not happy, right? So, and why would you put that responsibility onto people to to make you happy, where you can make yourself happy? And it's this is a whole other topic, and I can go really deep into this kind of stuff, if I'm working one-on-one with a person. That's one of the things that we can discover through dreams, is those types of emotional habits or addictions that are impeding us from, like I said, reaching our highest potential. So that's one thing, all those keywords, like I was saying. So yes, keywords, one thing. The emotions that you were experiencing in the dream, Where it was taking place is also very important, and what do you feel being in that place? Because, for example, let's say a church might not have the same emotional, I guess, emotional charge as for a person who's religious versus a person who's not religious, or even who doesn't like religion at all and might be like, oh my god, I was in a church. And that's why there's no one meaning for the symbols in the dreams. You're not going to say, oh, everybody who dreams of being in a church means this or that. You can't say that. Then there are also though symbols that can be taken more like the archetypical meaning, which is, and this is based a lot on Carl Jung's theories. Carl Jung was the founder of analytical psychology, and he has his limitations as well. I follow a lot of the work he does, but I do see a few limitations here and there. But I do like the aspect of that he brought into psychology of seeing some symbols can be archetypical and or archetypal. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Because they have a meaning that has been brought into our cellular memory, through that process that I was saying, our superconscious minds, and they store it in our cellular memories from generation to generation. And sometimes in dreams, some things can have these meanings. So, let's see. Let me think of one. Even, for example, symbol like the cross, that of course is symbolism. It symbolizes religion or spirituality, for example, right? Snakes or dragons or just like mythical creatures also have these archetypical meanings. Kings, queens, all these things that are usually also represented a lot in tarot or in things like this, or even astrology. But I was saying earlier that I don't really focus on astrology too much, because I'm following sky astrology. But these symbols are there, and they have a meaning that has been carried on from one generation to the next. So some dreams do have these meanings, and this is where the like I said, the art of interpreting a dream comes in, because you have to kind of identify, oh, which one, am I going to give it the archetypical meaning, or am I going to focus more on the individual meaning of it? Usually when the person has a hard time giving the symbol an association or a word that goes with it, you can maybe pick the archetypical meaning of the dream. I had a person that was telling me about the Pegasus. She had a Pegasus in her dream. Like, oh, that sounds like maybe, because she has she's like, I don't even know, like, why, that doesn't make any sense. Like, so we looked at the meaning of a Pegasus, and that opened up, more insights. And so what did I say? Okay, I already went through symbols, emotions, the place, and then you can give it a title. And usually when you give it a title, it can represent the central theme of the dream. Like, what is the thing or the situation that you're dealing with at the moment. So these dreams will happen, and then you'll have things in your physical reality that are going to show up, and you have to pay attention to what happened in the dream. You have to remember it, because if you don't consider it, I swear you're going to fall into a trap. That's why it's important to keep a dream journal if you guys have one. It's like, or do dream work, and we can look into the series of dreams and how they interrelate. And sometimes you have to revisit a dream later to get the messages from it, because it can be linked to a new dream. There's also this new no, it's not new, but for me it is kind of. But I tried it before. It's a technique that's called the guided waking dream, which is pretty cool, because I've tried it just with myself. I have yet to try it with other people, but it's really interesting because you work with images in the dream, and you can use images from previous dreams, or you can create your own dreamscape just with your own meditation, and interact with the people and the symbols that you get, and see what your reaction is. And during the experience, you can change your reaction to things, and you can also do things like you ascend, or you do a descent, and you see what happens, how you feel. You're ascending, it's like going to be connecting with things more like for your super conscious mind, and then when you descend, you're going to connect more with your subconscious mind. So those are really interesting meditations. that are really cool to try. I mean, if you guys are, if anyone's interested, feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to try that with you guys. And so let me see. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say? I'm gonna end the episode here in a few minutes. It's been really nice having you guys here. Thank you so much. And congratulations to being the first audience of the season 2, episode 1 of the Dream Podcast. Yeah, let me see if there's any messages that want to come through for anybody listening, because I like doing this where I just kind of connect with you guys and see. Hi, Bad. I don't know if I said hi to you. I feel like, I don't know, there's something that might need to be said for somebody. Hold on a second. Somebody cares a lot about what people think. What people think about them, and that's the message that's coming in for someone here. They might be for more than one person too, but you got to stop thinking about what opinion people have about you, because that's not important. What's important is that you have a high opinion about yourself. And if you don't, that means that there's something that needs work there. But first it's got to start with you, feeling good about yourself. And then people will, of course, naturally gravitate towards you. And the right people, because maybe you're being surrounded by people that are not even meant for you right now. So, let me see what else needs to be said here. Yeah, there's another one. Okay, there's something else coming in. Hold on. Yeah, there's something about wanting to do things, like wanting to always be busy and doing things very fast, and like always worried about like being, I guess, competent or something like that. So what I can say is slow down. Really take the time to slow down, and you'll see how your life is going to change just by slowing down a tiny bit. And you know what? At first it's going to be really hard because you're so used to being, always like, and in French we say très speed, t'es très speed, meaning like you're always like speedy, I guess would be the translation. And when you start really slowing down, maybe start by just, let's say, going for a walk, but really breathing in the air, and like it can be a meditative walk, and taking into account one step left, one step right. So when we're usually walking super fast, not even realizing what's around us. So practice mindfulness, and you can do this just once a week is enough, to start out, and then you'll actually start liking it the more you do it, and then you'll have times where you're gonna go, just do things quickly and just whatever, but yeah, it's the message for you is just to kind of slow down a little bit and to really tune into your body, because it seems to be okay. So where that comes to mind is dissociated. You're kind of dissociated from your body, and that's for sleeping. We do dissociate from our bodies when we sleep. We do. Our consciousness leaves our bodies. But we don't want to be doing that in our waking state. We want to really be grounded in our bodies, okay? Super important, because we're here for a reason, okay? And I know sometimes it's really annoying to be here, right? It's like, ew, like really lots of people want to be here. Why am I here? But it's what's interesting is that we chose to come here, right? We know why we're here. Deep down, we know what we're here to do. But so many people are so disconnected from their higher purpose, that they don't like it here. And I could say I was one of those people, I was like, oh man, like what am I actually even doing here? who wants to, you know, be in a planet where just, you know, everybody's so fake, and you know, relationships are usually very fake and all, and that was one of my things. It's like, yeah, I can't find any real friends, you know, all that stuff. But you'll see that the more you align with your purpose, the more real friends will come into your life, people that are really worth your time. So yeah, that might have been a message for somebody else too. I just got the ping that was like, it was a mixed message, kind of the end there. It applies to somebody else as well. So yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna end it now. So thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you guys again next week, and sending lots of love to you all, wherever you guys are. Have a good day, evening, and yeah, set some you know, intent before you sleep tonight to remember your dreams, and feel free to share next time. All right, how do I end this show? Ooh, okay.